For the last 4 decades, James Cameron has made several of the most beloved, iconic, and profitable movies ever made. Out of the top 5 highest grossing films of all time, 3 belong to him. And they say Avatar has no cultural significance. In any event, whether he's busy revolutionizing modern special effects, making his actors' lives a living hell, or being the actual leading expert on deep-sea voyages, we cannot deny the man's impact on cinema. Simply put, everything he touches turns into gold. When we hear about a filmmaker's early life, we often hear stories of a young Steven Spielberg falling in love with cinema at a young age, or Quentin Tarantino getting his film education by working at a video rental store. James Cameron loved movies, of course, but he took a ton of odd jobs on his way to becoming a filmmaker, like being a high school janitor and truck driver. His first love was, and probably still is, deep-sea submersion, with his high school classmates recalling that Cameron loved building things that either went up into the air or into the deep. If you know just a little bit about the man's filmography, this observation is not that surprising. In the meantime, he learned the ins and outs of special effects by reading other students' work on optical printing, front screen projection, dye transfers at the University of Southern California. But then things changed in May of 1977 when watching the original Star Wars for the first time. As was the case for millions of moviegoers at that time, Cameron realized that the possibilities of cinema stretch beyond sets and locations. You can do more, go to places never thought possible. It was with that jolt of inspiration that he quit his job as a truck driver to become a filmmaker. While he has made a career of revolutionizing special effects and breaking box office records, James Cameron's most salient trait is, to use the technical term, doing the damn thing. He doesn't believe that one aspires to be an artist. If you write, you're a writer. If you make films, you're a filmmaker, etc. He operates under the guise of, let's give it a try and see what happens. And that proactive, go-getter attitude let him fund his first film, 1978's Xenogenesis, with the help of a local dentist who spotted our man $20,000. There's not much to say about Xenogenesis other than it's Cameron's first directorial effort. Same goes with his debut feature, 1982's Piranha 2, The Spawning. He doesn't even consider it to be his first film, citing power struggles with the producers. So he went back to work, and that's where inspiration struck. The nightmarish kind. While on a trip to Italy, Cameron started suffering from a fever. He recounts that one night he had a nightmare of a chrome-colored skeleton staring at him in a pillar of fire. He immediately started sketching the metal skeleton, which would become the defining image of his true feature debut, 1984's The Terminator. Today we know Cameron for his use of visual effects, able to create entire worlds never thought possible, but the man was and remains a true filmmaker at heart. The Terminator, by all accounts, is a high-budget student film where its cast and crew used every bit of the film's $6 million budget and their own creativity and ingenuity to make the film seem bigger than what it actually is. You may recall the final scene where Sarah Connor, played by a generational Linda Hamilton, is driving down a highway into an oncoming storm. Yeah, they filmed that without a permit. Cameron and producer/wife/eventual ex-wife Gail Hurd convinced an officer who confronted them that they were making a student film. They got the shot they needed and ran off into the night. Keep in mind, this man went on to make Titanic and Avatar, and here he is getting a shot for his film by any means necessary. Cameron and company, especially special effects legend Stan Winston, made an elevated slasher film, one that followed the genre's tropes while giving it layers and lore fit for a long-running franchise, for better or worse. It also solidified Arnold Schwarzenegger as the leading man of 80s action cinema, while being a showcase for the actor's underrated ability as a menacing, unstoppable brute of a villain. The Terminator was a critical and financial smash, jump-starting an iconic sci-fi franchise while launching the careers of Arnold, Hamilton, Michael Biehn, and of course, its writer-director. James Cameron had officially arrived. It seems that making a sequel to any Ridley Scott film is a lose-lose situation. Want to make a sequel to Blade Runner? Okay, Denis Villeneuve, congratulations. You actually made one of the best sci-fi films of all time that's arguably better than the first one. But uh-oh, it's a financial flop and Ridley Scott thinks it's too damn long. Just look at how the man makes his Gladiator sequel. You'll see. Oh. Well, what about his Alien prequel movie? Okay, never mind. Damned if you do, damned if you don't. James Cameron might as well be cinema's Han Solo because he doesn't give a damn about the odds. So much so that during a pitch meeting for the eventual Alien sequel, he wrote the word alien on a board before adding a $sign at the end. And that's where we get 1986's Aliens. If the Terminator was his take on the slasher genre, Aliens is the man's spin on a sci-fi horror film turned action flick. This is a Vietnam War film in space, while managing to retain the original sense of horror and dread. But it's Sigourney Weaver who's the core of the film here, delivering a performance for the science fiction ages and continuing the trend of Cameron casting strong female characters as the lead. Aliens is rightly regarded as one of the best sci-fi, action, horror films and sequels of all time, keeping the essence of Scott's original while being its own thing. It was also a box office hit, which at this point is a given with Cameron. The film further upped the man's status in the industry, being a filmmaker who can showcase state-of-the-art special effects without upstaging the story or characters. For his next film, Cameron decided to return to a story he conceived of in high school, about a group of oil rig workers encountering strange intelligent life in, wait for it, the ocean. The Abyss is the most James Cameron movie ever made, even to this day. I mean, we're talking water. Lots of water. Cold War politics and paranoia, iffy social commentary, weirdly memorable characters, amazing special effects, and of course, to top everything off, a hellish production history. The film was near impossible to find on Blu-ray and streaming, being relegated to a poor DVD transfer for the better part of 2 decades. It's since been released on 4K with Cameron's personal supervision, so better late than never, I guess. I love The Abyss, mainly because it's the hidden gem in the man's filmography at a time when he was making generational banger after banger. It's a small-scale epic that showcases the beauty and utter horror of the deep blue sea. And if you thought the film does a great job in portraying a group of people losing their minds in an enclosed space underwater, it's because making the film was literal hell. Like Jaws, the story of how The Abyss got made deserves its own video, but the skinny of it is basically the cast and crew endured over 6 months of 6-day, 70-hour weeks on an isolated set that saw little to no sunlight or anything from the outside world. At one point, Mary Elizabeth Mastrantonio had a physical and emotional breakdown on set, and Ed Harris burst into a spontaneous sobbing while driving home. Cameron's now infamous tyrannical tendencies started to come out here, with himself later admitting, "I knew this was going to be a hard shoot, but even I had no idea just how hard. I don't ever want to go through this again." Though it wasn't as big a success compared to his previous work, The Abyss did fairly well at the box office. It also shed light on the man's now well-known reputation for being, well, a little demanding. As we mentioned earlier, James Cameron is known for a great many things, revolutionizing the industry with little more than a handful of films. That can't be denied. What also can't be denied is his reputation for being hard to work with, a dictator, a tyrant, overly demanding, and last but not certainly least, asshole. When making Avatar, he would hear a phone ring on set and nail it to the wall with a nail gun. He also made the cast of The Abyss, according to the film's novelist Orson Scott Card, miserable. And his unkindness did nothing to improve the film in any way, nor did it motivate people to work faster or better. Basically saying that Cameron was being a dick simply for the love of the game. Okay, not really, but you get the point. Kate Winslet said that she was frightened of him at times when making Titanic, saying that she needs to get paid a lot before working with him again. Oh look, a brand new recession indicator. But there are those like Sigourney Weaver, Michael Biehn, Leonardo DiCaprio who see the vision, taking the filmmaker's bluntness for passion and a relentless pursuit to make the best film possible, even if it means risking his own life. A general consensus among his collaborators is that while he can be something of a tyrant, he'd never ask them to do something that he wouldn't do himself. Cameron is a craftsman in every sense, playing an on-hands, if at times overbearing role, in every part of the filmmaking process. Then we get to the stories themselves. James Cameron films mostly reside in the sci-fi genre, which is a perfect playground for his critiques on corporate greed, human interference with the environment, and over-reliance on technology and artificial intelligence. His stories involve characters who are trying to save themselves, whether it's saving humanity against machines in his Terminator films, or Rose affirming her independence in Titanic, or the naturalness and culture of the Na'vi in the Avatar films. Things indeed go boom in most of his movies, save for the one where boat go under, but his movies are usually chock full of memorable characters living in worlds rich in lore, and the man knows how to entertain. Though he can get some flack for his writing, he can cook some mean one-liners. I'll be back. Come with me if you want to live. Game over, man. I'm king of the world. And of course,
get away from her, you bitch!
And you might be wondering, where's the Avatar quote? And to that, I present you this. And though he's best remembered for his work with his actors, I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about producer Jon Landau. Having met Cameron when he was the studio suit for True Lies, Landau earned the man's respect through his pure love of cinema, believing that it is, above all else, a human art form, and that the humanities is the key defining factor for movies. From then on, Landau became the confidant and logistical master for Cameron as his films began to grow in scale and cost. He ensured that Cameron can do his thing, that his vision can be fully realized amid the decades worth of naysayers. When Landau passed away in 2024, Cameron paid tribute to his cinematic partner in crime. I am grateful for every year, every day, every minute we had together. I am grateful for the belief he had in me and what his partnership allowed us to accomplish together. A part of myself has been torn away. After The Abyss, Cameron went back to the endoskeleton drawing board with 1991's Terminator 2: Judgment Day. Less of a sci-fi slasher and more of a bona fide action blockbuster. This sequel ups the ante the same way he did with Aliens. The sets were bigger, the action sequences spanned entire city blocks, and the visual effects behind the T-1000 broke new ground when it came to computer-generated effects. This one had more heart than its predecessor, anchored by Linda Hamilton's complete 180 as a ripped, badass, jaded Sarah Connor. In terms of blockbuster spectacle, few come as close as T2, showcasing Cameron's knack for state-of-the-art special effects while keeping focus on character and emotion. And for what it's worth, this was the first movie to ever make me cry. I was 9 at the time, and it hasn't affected me. 1994's True Lies is something of an end of an era for Cameron, in that this is his last film before catapulting to box office Godfather status. For now though, here he is making a silly action comedy with Arnold, Jamie Lee Curtis, and an absolutely insane Bill Paxton. Cameron's letting loose here with a relatively low-stakes flick that doesn't involve too much with the end of humanity or casts losing their sanity. This one tends to get lost in the shuffle because of this, but don't get it twisted. True Lies is a truly great time. The headlines wrote themselves. Titanic sinks, Titanic going under, Titanic hits rock bottom. Whatever water pun you can come up with, chances are that a Pulitzer-winning journalist used it with great glee on the way to Titanic's eventual release. And for the time, it did seem like Cameron's 1997 epic was doomed to fail. Or sink. It was the most expensive movie ever made at the time with a reported $200 million budget. It kept going over budget and kept going over schedule, making the studio hemorrhage money and resources as a result. It was also unlike any of Cameron's previous films, essentially being a romance of two star-crossed lovers amid a historic disaster. Could the king of sci-fi action blockbusters make good on such an impossible scenario? While that is a yes or no question, I would like to answer it with 5 words. Never bet against James Cameron. Despite the laundry list of setbacks and seemingly the whole world rooting for its failure, Titanic sunk the naysayers, becoming the first film to ever gross $1 billion at the global box office and winning 11 Oscars out of its 14 nominations, including Best Picture and Best Director for our man. With the help of a few theatrical re-releases, including one in 3D, remember that one? Titanic now sits as the 4th highest grossing film of all time with $2.2 $2 billion. In terms of quality, it's Titanic. The blend of spectacle filmmaking with the instantly iconic and lovable romance of Jack and Rose still stands the test of time and remains one of the most lovingly epic and shamelessly emotional films of all time. So at this point, no one, not even God herself, was gonna question James Cameron on anything movie related. With Titanic and his previous films in his CV, he earned an eternal blank check from the cinema gods. So what does he do with it? Nothing. Okay, not really. Between 1997 and 2009, our man was producing movies, almost making a Spider-Man film at one point, and getting more and more immersed in deep sea diving, a lifelong pastime of his. But the road to Avatar started before even Titanic was released. In 1994, he wrote an 80-page treatment for what would become Avatar, inspired by his favorite sci-fi novels from his youth. He also dreamt of a bioluminescent forest with fiber optic trees, fan lizards, a river with bioluminescent particles, and a purple moss that lit up when stepped on, jotting these ideas when he woke up. However, the technology wasn't where it needed to be to properly achieve his vision of Pandora, until it was. But by then, Avatar was already this cinematic disaster waiting to happen, priming to be the flop that Titanic never was. But it felt like the haters were onto something. After all, it had been over a decade since Cameron directed a feature film, and an all CGI sci-fi epic taking place in an original universe might be too much for general audiences. 20th Century Fox even had a contingency plan, releasing Alvin and the Chipmunks, the squeakquel, on the same day, calling it a quote, secret weapon to cover any losses at the box office caused by Avatar. But then I remembered that old Klingon proverb, never bet against James Cameron. Despite the haters and naysayers, he kept his head down, stayed the course, and did the damn thing. He believed in himself, and that's all he needed. Then, after 2 years of production with a blend of state-of-the-art motion capture effects and 3D filming, Avatar was released on December 18th, 2009, and box office projections started to take a turn for the better after a very encouraging $77 million opening weekend. And then, well, it just kept making money, crossing the $1 billion mark in just 19 days and becoming the highest grossing film of all time, with a total of $2.9 billion. In terms of the box office, the man did it again. Critically, well, it's a little more complicated. Reviews were and remain positive, but its detractors note the seemingly derivative narrative, that it's more style than substance, it's a Star Wars ripoff, and also my personal favorite, it has no cultural significance. To which I say, I guess? But I don't weigh a film's merits on how much merch I have of it. If that were the case, Batman v Superman would be in my Letterboxd 4 favorites. This thing was an absolute spectacle in 2009. We'd never seen anything like it before, and going to the theaters to watch the new James Cameron joint after a decade's worth of hype does more for me than whatever cultural impact is. Also, if you ask Cameron about the film's cultural impact, well, he can't hear you right now because he's at the bottom of the ocean. Oh yeah, the man's something of a modern day Renaissance man. If being a Renaissance man meant you love deep sea exploration, he became a National Geographic Explorer in Residence in 2011. He reached the Challenger Deep, the deepest part of the Mariana Trench, the following year. He also became something of a leading authority during the Titan disaster, going on CNN, ABC, and 60 Minutes Australia to explain how things went wrong for that crew. And there wasn't a single person who was going to dispute what the man was saying. Cameron once said that he makes films so he can pay for his expeditions, and yeah, we can tell. And to anyone who wishes Cameron would make something, anything, other than an Avatar movie, well, he's still underwater, so he can't hear you, so here's 2022's The Way of Water. Surely this is the one. This is the James Cameron flop we've been prophesying for 3 decades. Surely the wells run dry. No one cares about Avatar. It's Pocahontas in space. It's 3 hours. No one cares about 3D anime. Okay, you know where this is going. Avatar: The Way of Water should erase doubt in anyone's minds that Cameron doesn't know what he's doing. If the first film was an introduction to the world of Pandora and its characters, then The Way of Water goes deeper into the world's lore and further examines the central family dynamics and its themes of human biodegradation. Some of its social commentary is pretty on the nose, and I don't know what compelled Cameron to use the word cuz or bro so many times, but it makes up for that in its gorgeous visuals, absolutely insane water sequences, and good old-fashioned family-centered emotion. Also, I would kill for Payakan. Anyone who has a negative word to say about this man can meet me after class. In terms of box office, it didn't meet the all-time highs of its predecessor, so it had to settle for a measly $2.3 billion and some Oscar nominations. So, okay, yeah, flop, I guess. As it stands, James Cameron is a master of modern blockbuster filmmaking. He can basically do what he wants, and that includes not making films for prolonged periods of time. But when he does sit on the director's chair, he remains one of the most in-tune storytellers out there. There's a reason why we love the thrill ride of Aliens, cried at the unapologetic romanticism of Titanic, and why we bother going back to Pandora time and time again. It's because the man's got it. He knows what makes the audience tick. If Spielberg pioneered the blockbuster genre with Jaws and George Lucas revolutionized it with Star Wars, then James Cameron perfected it again and again and again. He truly is the king of the modern blockbuster.